Greetings to each of you. I'm Bishop Brandon Porter, General Board Member, Board of Directors, Secretary for the Church of God in Christ. In behalf of the Church of God in Christ, our presiding bishop, Bishop J. Drew Sheard, we're proud to welcome you to our world headquarters, the historic Mason Temple building, which was built in 1941 to 1945. Our founder, Bishop Charles Harrison Mason, during the Great Depression and, of course, World War II. Mason Temple is significant to this gathering and cause because approximately 55 years ago, my father, Bishop W.O. Porter, opened the doors of this facility to Dr. Martin Luther King for the Poor People's Campaign. That stormy night, April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King gave his last, most profound historic speech, "I've been to the mountaintop." Of course, later that next morning, he was murdered at the Lorraine Motel on the balcony right here in downtown Memphis. The need for justice has brought us here again. Mr. and Mrs. Wells, the Church of God in Christ stands with you to help demand and ensure that there is justice for Tyre. We salute the aggressive, gallant efforts of Attorney Ben Crump, his staff, as you, many of them, have served our black community and in some ways become the Attorney General for Black America. The focus of work for his staff, coupled with the electricity of spontaneity of the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton, who has renewed hope in those situations which often brought despair. Finally, to the family of Tyre Nichols, we want to thank you for calming the beast in many of us. It was through your loving, God-fearing spirit that spoke nonviolence to our communities across the world that caused the devastating awake that could have happened not to happen. Though, of course, here in the city of Memphis, we applaud the efforts of our police chief and, of course, our attorney general, our mayor, in their efforts to move swiftly. As it has been mentioned that this has become a benchmark and a blueprint for many, there's still much more work to do. But because of you, family, Ms. Wells and Mr. Wells, whom I've just met, but to watch you on the screens and to see you speak peace to a troubled nation, we must thank you. The Church of God in Christ, of course, our presiding bishop has asked the Church of God in Christ with our 6.5 million members. We're in 120 countries across the world. We're standing with you for justice for Tyre. We opened the doors 55 years ago for a just cause, and now we're opening the doors again for Reverend Al Sharpton to come and to speak life to dying situations. This is a pivotal time for America to band together so that there is justice for all. Bishop Talbert Swan is going to come because our presiding bishop is not able to be here. He did a special message for you, and he's going to read some of his remarks concerning these events. Bishop Talbot Swan, who is our Director of Social Justice for the Church of God in Christ and one of the leading NACP presidents in Massachusetts. Bishop Swan is coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Porter, Reverend Sharpton, and certainly to the family of Tyre Nichols. On behalf of our presiding bishop, the Bishop J. Drew Sheard, we want to offer our sincere condolences and our prayers are continually with this family and with this community. Nationwide, police have killed roughly 3 people per day consistently since 2020. The encounter with Tyre Nichols in Memphis, recorded on video, is a glaring reminder that efforts to reform policing have failed to prevent more flashpoint incidents an intractable epidemic of police brutality in this country. Nearly 32 years ago, Rodney King's beating by police in Los Angeles prompted heartfelt calls for change. And yet, here we are, 3 decades later, still calling for that change. We can call out the names of Amadou Diallo and Oscar Grant and Michael Brown and Tatiana Jefferson and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many more. The killing of Tyre Nichols points to a need for bolder reforms that go beyond simply diversifying ranks within police departments, because we understand that racism is systemic and it is structural. And regardless of the race of the police officer, if you don't change the structure, it still disenfranchises and brutalizes black bodies. This case exposes an uncomfortable truth. More than 2 years since we all marched in the streets in the middle of a pandemic for George Floyd and gave lip service to passing a George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, it seems to me that the stomach to go forward with this change has seemed to left those that are now comfortably nestled in Congress, who are now saying fund the police and have forgotten about the promises that they have made to black people that put them in power. We've got to see some substantive change across this nation so that these types of incidents don't have us standing here time after time again singing from the same song sheet. My brothers and my sisters, Dr. King quoted the prophet Amos and said that justice should roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. He stood in this pulpit 55 years ago and he talked about getting to a promised land. He said, I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. May I suggest to you that as long as black bodies continue to be brutalized and extrajudiciously murdered on the streets by those that are charged to protect and serve, we haven't got there yet. We've got a long, long way to go. Let me close with the words of the late Reverend Dr. James Cone, because I want to also put out a challenge to our brothers and sisters in the faith community, that the sanctity of life includes those that are on our streets. It includes black boys and girls and black women and black children who are in our cities and in our schools. He said that any authentic theology must affirm that God is on the side of the oppressed. And we are here to say we stand with this family, we stand with God, we stand with Reverend Sharpton, and we stand with justice. The Church of God in Christ offers its prayers, but also we offer our support, we offer our voices to lift them up in this public sphere to say this has got to stop.
Let me say first and foremost that we are here to establish and proclaim that we are going to continue to fight this fight around police brutality and killing until we get federal laws changed. What happened to Tyre is a disgrace to this country. There's no other way to describe what has happened in this situation. People from around the world watched a videotape of a man unarmed, unprovoked, being beat to death by officers of the law. We talk a lot about gangbangers in the street and what colors they wear. In Memphis, it looks like they wear the blue color and uniform. When you can beat a man, chase him down and beat him some more, and then let him lay there wounded for over 20 minutes and think nothing would happen. you thought that no one would respond.
That's right.
You thought no one would care.
That's right.
Well, tomorrow the Vice President of the United States is coming to his funeral. And people are coming from all over the world. And we are coming because we're all Tyre now.
That's right.
And we're all going to stand up with this family.
That's right.
They will never, ever recover from the loss. Every holiday there'll be a missing chair at their table. Every day this mother and father and brothers and sisters will have to remember he's gone. But we will never leave them. Stephen Clark, who was killed in Sacramento by police, his brother's here tonight. He'll tell you his brother was killed years ago. He and I talk now as often as I talk to my brother. Sometimes I don't even talk to my brother, but that's a whole nother press conference. We stick with them. I brought Eric Gardner's mother is down with us. Many victims to stand with this family because this family is going to need all of our support. I want to thank Bishop Porter. I want to thank Bishop Swan. Certainly, I want to thank our presiding bishop, Bishop Sheard, who called me as soon as it happened and said that they're going to stand with the family. Tomorrow at the Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church, the funeral will start at 10:30, and we will, I'll have a lot more to say at the funeral. But I wanted to make it clear tonight that we are here. Two of our national board members are with me of National Action Network, Reverend Steffi Bartley, who also heads our NAN Tech Center, and the Reverend Johnny Green, who is on the national board, and pastors Mount Pisgah in New York. We took planes out of New York to make sure we were here with the family tonight. 55 years ago, Martin Luther King came to Memphis to fight for garbage workers. It was a rainy night, and he said that he didn't feel like he was going to speak. He sent Dr. Abernathy to speak. Dr. Abernathy got in the foyer of this church and saw it was full, and he went to the payphone and called back to Lorraine and said, Martin, you ought to come. And he come and stood in this pulpit and made a historic speech about I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land. We wanted to bring this family the night before the funeral. The night before Dr. King was killed is where he spoke. And they're standing on that ground because we will continue in Tyre's name to head up to Martin's mountaintop. That's why we wanted to start this right on this sacred ground. This is holy ground. And this family now is ours, and they're in the hands of history. And they're in the hands of those that would fight. And let me say to those nefarious citizens, no rumors on Tyre is going to justify what was done to Tyre. You can get on any social media you want. You will not do anything but incense us to continue fighting. Because there's nothing that you can say that can explain what we saw on that videotape. In fact, what you say may make it premeditated. And upgrade the charges. So keep running your mouth. And you'll be running the charges up. Because we don't care what you say. We know what we saw. And Tyre should not have been treated like that. That could have been any one of us. It's her son and his stepson. It could have been mine. And I don't care what rumor you run. I've been black all my life. I'm used to rumors. What I'm not used to is justice. And that's what we're going to fight. And let me also say that the people in Memphis, the activists, the local activists, have exercised the greatest persistent fight. And we that are in national organizations come to support them, not supplant them. We come to back them up and stand behind them. And they've acted in impeccable nonviolence. But don't mistake in our nonviolence that we're going to take nonsense. We are angry, but we're disciplined.
That's right.
We're furious, but we're focused.
Yes, sir.
And we're not going to do anything to get in the way of the cause, especially at the request of Mr. and Mrs. Wells. But don't think because there hasn't been what you predicted. The nerve of people to say, will there be violence?
Come on now.
There's already been violence. That's why we're having a funeral tomorrow. Because you were violent on an unarmed man. With us tonight, let me first recognize them. I'm going to bring two of them to speak. We have, of course, Rodney Wells, who is the stepfather. We have Kenya Dixon, his sister. Jamal Dupree, who's going to speak for them, who's the brother. We have, of course, we have Ron Von Wells, who's the mother, and we have the brother Michael, who and the siblings are Latoya and James. All of them are with us. Am I missing anybody? All right, and they're all with us. One will speak and the father will speak. But before they do, let me first bring the local council, a courageous brother who is the president of the NAACP in Memphis. And I've been watching him. He got a little preaching in him, too. And we're going to ask Van Turner to give some remarks.
Thank you, Reverend Al. This is, as Reverend Al said, holy ground. I tremble when I come in here because we know the significance of this holy place. So you have to take it in. And then when I came in, I looked at the picture of Tyre over here holding up his baby, that beautiful baby. And then I looked down at what they did to him and how he was beat and left like this for his mother to see him before he left this earth. And so what we have to do is we can't forget this, and we can't pay lip service to what we're doing. And we're tired of lip service. So what's going to happen is after the funeral tomorrow, there's going to be another story, and people may soon forget. And so all the calls will stop, and all the legislators in D.C. would have given us their thoughts and their prayers and concerns, and we love that. But we want the action this time. We want action this time. We want them to pass the George Floyd Police Reform Act this time. They owe us that. They owe this family that. They owe all the other families who have been hurt, harmed, and brutalized as a result of interactions with law enforcement in this country. And then, when that happens, we got to call on the Tennessee General Assembly. Ms. Rovon Wells has asked for the Tyre Nichols Police Reform Act to be passed in the Tennessee General Assembly. We need to fight for that. We need to leave this funeral tomorrow after the eulogy and after we've laid Mr. Nichols to rest, and we need to go to Nashville, and we need to call on Governor Bill Lee. We need to call on our Tennessee General Assembly. We need to call on all of those who come to our churches, pastors, every Sunday. And they ask for our votes. Then they come to our community meetings, and they ask for them to support us. And they come to our schools, and then they ask for our votes. But when they go to Nashville, we want the action. We want them to pass the Tyre Nichols Police Reform Act. And we want that to be done today. We want that to be done right now. Duty to de-escalate, duty to intervene, duty to render aid, and a duty to be decent. You don't have to be trained to be a decent human being. You don't have to go through police procedures to know if a man is sitting there slumping down that you got to render aid to him so that he could live. I'm not a police officer, and I know that. I'm not a medical professional. I know that. And so what we have to do is stay focused on humanity, stay focused on the cause, stay focused on making sure that Tyre Nichols did not die in vain. Justice for Tyre.
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 Let's make sure that his death was not in vain. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, and we certainly are going to stay on both the national legislation and, as he said, here in Tennessee. and Reverend DeVest Toombs, our national field director, and the work he's been doing, I want to commend. And Brother Kareem, he never wants to take a bow, but he has made the trains run. Give Brother Kareem. Let me say that in the 60s, people romanticize the 60s, but I've studied the 60s and I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Dr. King's organization. He was already gone, but I was close with his wife, worked day to day now with his son. There's always been various ways that we have movements, but they all complement each other. That's right. We had NACP, the Urban League, the SCLC, all at the same time. I don't understand why. We had Adam Clayton Powell in Congress. We had Thurgood Marshall in the court. We had Fannie Lou Hamer in Mississippi, Dr. King in the South, Malcolm X in the North, all at the same time. How we get to the 21st century and act like King with one Negro talk at a time. We all have different ways of doing what we do. We have different styles and different methods, but it's toward the same way. And in that spirit, I want to call this sister to give us our call to action. Amber, will you come for Amber Sherman, who's of Black Lives Matter, Memphis.
Official Black Lives Matter Memphis.
Okay. Make it official.
So I'm here to center us in the demands Tyre's family and our community have to ensure that we get justice. And what does justice look like for Tyre? Justice looks like every single officer and public personnel being fired and charged accordingly because they are all complicit in Tyre's murder in some way, even the white officers they're trying to protect. Justice looks like naming all officers and public personnel that were on scene and release the files of everyone involved. Justice looks like passing the Data Transparency Act in the City Council and County Commission, passing the ordinance to end the use of traffic enforcement by law enforcement through pretextual traffic stops, and passing an ordinance to end the use of task force in the city of Memphis. We ask that you support this family's demands and our community's demands by uplifting them and showing up to make public comment and support at the upcoming County Commission and City Council meetings on February 6th and February 7th. And you can join our cause for justice by visiting www.justice4Tyre.com. Thank you for continuing to show up for Tyre and his family and supporting them in our cause for justice.
Excellent. Thank you. Now let us hear from the stepfather and father of Tyre, the one and only Rodney Wells.
Yes. Pop.
How's everybody doing this evening? Good. Only thing I can say this evening is going to be sweet and short. Keep fighting for justice for our son and my family. Protect my wife because she's very fragile right now.
Yes.
We need that for her. Trust me. And I need it too.
That's right.
So, like I said, it's going to be short tonight because we got a long fight ahead of us.
That's right.
And we got to stay strong for it.
Understood.
So, justice for Tyre.
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 Let me bring on who's going to speak for the siblings, Jamal Dupree, who's the brother.
Big J.
How y'all doing? Good. So honestly, y'all just gonna have to bear with me. I just got off a plane. So, man, for the most part, I'm gonna just be honest. I've told my siblings since this happened, like, I hate Memphis. I hate coming here. You know, like, my little brother didn't deserve none of this.
That's right.
At all, you know. But at the same time, my sisters and my brothers, they remind me, like, y'all really got my brother back.
Oh,
That's
yes.
right.
We really appreciate that, you know.
That's right.
It's just sometimes it's just like I'm older than Tyre. His birthday was June 5th. My birthday is June 7th.
Wow.
That was my twin.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't talk every day, nothing like that, but for sure, June 5th, June 7th came around, it was for sure going down on the text. Like, that was my guy, you know, and I'm really gonna miss him. I really hate that, like, I wasn't here.
Right.
Like, for real. I've been fighting my whole life. And the one fight that I need to be at, I wasn't here. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm never going to forget my brother. I'm going to be here for my mom, my pop, my brothers, my sisters.
Right.
Again, back to the activists, Cleo, Cassio.
Thank you.
Man, you guys are the truth. I appreciate you guys. Kareem, you've been doing your thing, man. I really appreciate it, man. Just hold my parents down, hold my family down, hold my brother down. And again, yeah, like, you guys have actually changed my mind about Memphis.
Oh, thank you.
Because when I first got here the first time, it was like a dark cloud over this city, and I couldn't wait to get back home.
Understood, man.
But, you know, seeing the support every day on social media, seeing it on the news, everything. When I came in here and seen the support, it's amazing. So, from my brothers and sisters, since I'm speaking for us all tonight, we truly appreciate it. Thank you.
We love you, sir. We love y'all.
Nobody changed their mind on speak. Mama says she don't want to speak tonight. Let me also say that we are going to have a funeral, dignified funeral service, not a marathon tomorrow.
Right, right.
And let the family mourn and receive whatever messages and the vice president. But this is not about politics tomorrow. It's about justice.
Yes.
And it's the beginning of the faith community rallying, as Bishop said, to stand with this family. And we'll take, now let me say, Attorney Ben Crump was on the way here,
Right.
and his flight was canceled in Atlanta. So he's in a car driving here, and probably won't get here before we are finished, but he'll be here tonight.
Right.
And with us in the morning. That's the only reason he was not at the press conference, because of the weather. Flew from New York to North Carolina speaking to college. Luckily, they had sent a plane for me. And when I landed, I said, we ain't gonna get to Memphis. So we made the plane take back off. Wow. So then, knowing the right wing press to say I hijacked the plane, that's the only reason I made it. Right before they closed everything down.
Right.
All right, I will take, not the family,
Right.
one or two questions, just one or two, so make it your best one.
Reverend Al, I'm with the New Black Panther Party, and we're concerned that what we're doing is not stopping the killing. We're not opposed to legislation, and we think that you do a yeoman's job representing families. We think that Attorney Crump, you do well, but it's not stopping the killing. I'm a decorated Vietnam veteran. I earned the second highest medal that they give a soldier in theater. My experiences teach me that if you want to stop somebody from striking you, you've got to strike back. Don't you think it's time?
I'll let you speak for yourself. I don't want to cloud the message of what we put up here, but I certainly didn't interrupt you speaking. All right.
So, in this situation, and I'm only speaking for my family in this part, my brother was the most peaceful person you ever met in your life. He's never lifted a finger to nobody, never raised his voice to nobody. If my brother was here today and if he had to say something, he would tell us to do this peacefully.
That's right.
Yeah.
Trust me, me personally, sir, I would love to get busy, but I'm stepping for my brother, not for myself.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's right.
Anyone?
It's possible the mom with the Tyre speak something.
She says she does not want to speak tonight. Wes?
Rev, what's going to be different this time? This is a department that has a black chief, a majority black staff, body cameras, has a duty to intervene already as a policy. We've been doing this. You've been doing it for decades. I've been doing it a decade. Hopscotching from city to city. What's going to be different?
It has to be federal law. Let me tell you, until police know they have skin in the game, which is why you heard them say about the George Floyd bill, you heard the sisters say about the legislation here, you must get rid of qualified immunity, where police know that they can lose their house, their car, and everything else, as well as criminal. Let me tell you, these policemen, and I don't want to give my eulogy tonight, but these policemen, when I watched that tape, and I saw one thing and heard them saying something else. Wow. They were saying, move your hands so we can handcuff you, while they had his arms. Right. They were talking a narrative to defend themselves while they were perpetrating the crime. They forgot about the overall cameras that showed everything that wasn't happening. Right. They never even asked him for his license or the registration. They grabbed him out the car. So until they understand it's going to cost them personally, and that's federal law. They had the 1955 bus boycott in Montgomery. It took them 9 years to get the 64 Civil Rights Act. It took them longer to get the 65 Voting Rights Act. Movements take time. That's why there's a difference between celebrities and activists. There's some folks that are Facebook activists, but you have some real activists here in Memphis, and we ain't gonna stop until we make this happen. How long is it gonna take? Well, however long it takes, we're gonna be there. I'll take one more. Yes, ma'am.
What do you have to say about 4 of the 5 officers having previous suspension records within PD?
They should have been, if anyone with a suspension record like that should certainly not have been on the force, certainly not on an elite force. And I think that why have a record if your record doesn't mean anything? If I go to court and I have a record, a judge will use that record against me. Why were they even in an elite force acting like hoodlums that night and causing a man's death that was unarmed, unprovoked? They don't even know to this moment whether his license and registration was intact. So what were they enforcing? And an even better question, what did they stop him for? When even the police chief said he was not driving reckless, according to the tape. So what was the stop for? Everybody in Memphis ought to be scared if they can drag you out of a car and you didn't do anything.
We're not stopping.
All right. This is the last one. I said that, but I'll go one more.
Hey, my name is Larry Donnell Jones, and I just heard you speak about qualified immunity for these prosecutors, judges, and police. That's the main issue. They must do away with. The prosecutor, the judge, they put me in prison for 30, 50 years just because somebody said my name. The prosecutor objected to the judge forcing me to take the crimes out of chronological order, but the judge knew by him committing that criminal act to put me in prison, I did 33 years as a result of that. So qualified immunity, you on point with that.
Thank you.
All the people around the world, they not only killing us on the street, they killing us in the courtroom.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to get to.
All right. Thank you all. The family's got a very serious day tomorrow, and I don't want to hold them any longer. Thank you. Yeah.
get the packs? The packs? Did he get the packs? The media packs for them? Did y'all get media packs? They didn't get them. Where are they? Where's Charles? They're not going to the back. They're going to come and bring it in here. We're going to bring it to you. Hey, Bryson. They're not going to the back, so they need the media packs out here. Where's Charles? I'm sorry. They didn't bring the media packs out here.